Welcome, everyone. My name is Marisha Lopez. I am the Program Manager for Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion in the College of Arts and Sciences. Before we get started with today's presentation from the Bursar's office, I did want to go through and give a land acknowledgement. We invite you to take a moment to reflect on your relationship to this land of Boulder and relationship to local Indigenous communities as we are guided by the university's land acknowledgement. The University of Colorado Boulder honors and recognizes the many contributions of Indigenous peoples in our state and in stewardship to land before the establishment of the state into this present moment. CU Boulder humbly acknowledges that it is located on the traditional and current homelands of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, Ute, and many other Native nations and communities. The violent forced removal of Native people from these territories has caused devastating and lasting impacts. These histories have brought us to the present moment, wherein the University of Colorado Boulder is determined to commit to improving and enhancing relationships with Indigenous communities and issues locally and globally. Introducing you all to our speaker today, Emily Bell. Emily Bell has been with the university for 17 years, serving in various roles within the Bursar's office. Currently, she is an assistant Bursar, managing the client services team within the student billing unit, which consists of 5 regular staff and 6 or so student employees. Her team works directly with students, parents, and others contacting the Bursar's office. Last year, they helped around 3,000 people at their front desk, responded to over 21,000 emails, and fielded over 26,000 phone inquiries. Welcome, Emily.
Yeah. So I'm also here with my boss, Eric Gray. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so financial life at the Bursar's office. We deal with pretty much every student that comes into the university. Obviously, they all have to pay their bills, so we do have contact with a large portion of them. We are located at the Regent Administrative Building. Our lobby is open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and no appointment is necessary. Our phone hours are from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So we, like other offices, are also constrained with the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. So we don't provide records or information to students unless they can verify their identity, and same thing goes for parents. Our office is a little bit unique, though, in that we do have another method of students can also allow others access to view and pay their bill. So we call that authorized payer access. And so students can go into the Buff portal and set up under their account settings the ability to have parents or others get email notifications when bills are available. And they also can use that system in order to make payments. So it's similar to a parent having their own portal. The only thing they can see, though, are tuition and fee charges. And then that kind of equates to just how many credit hours a person is signed up for, but doesn't provide information on classes, that sort of thing. So this is kind of geared towards students as well. So students, when they go into the Buff portal, obviously they can view and pay their bill online, account details. They also set up direct deposit. They have the ability to sign up for payment plans, authorize a payer. This is also where they select or waive health insurance. For in-state students, they go and authorize the College Opportunity Fund. And then there are certain things they need to grant permission for financial aid to pay if they choose to. Financial aid doesn't just automatically pay towards every charge that's possible on the account. And then this is also where students can get their 1098-T, which are tax forms that support their ability to get a tax benefit at the end of the year. So CU Bill and Pay Authorized payers, this is essentially what their portal looks like when they log in. The access that they have is they can view and pay their bill online. They can view account details. They can sign up for a payment plan themselves, and they also can view their transaction history. So the majority of the financial items that students need to do, they have to do that through the Buff portal, and parents don't have access to do that. So billing. Fall bills are available in mid-August every year, and the first spring bills are available in mid-January. So we don't do any paper mailing of bills. It's all electronic. And we send out the notifications to students at their colorado.edu email address. And then whatever email address students have authorized for others to receive emails at. Financial aid begins applying to bills the Monday before the first day of classes. And then refunds start generating at that point in time too. We'll go a little bit more in depth in that. So the different things that can show up on a bill, of course, tuition and mandatory fees. So we have on-campus housing, other fees. So students might choose to, I don't know, so purchase things at the bookstore. So we do have also CU book access and bookstore charges. Meal plans, if students are living off campus, they can choose to have that charged to their bill. Parking permits, health insurance, and then of course the financial aid applies directly to the student bill as well. We have a mandatory health insurance policy. And so students, if they haven't opt-outed by the time that we generate a bill, the health insurance will show up on their account. Students who make their selection in fall, that carries over into the spring semester. So if they waived in fall, they also will have it waived in spring. The cost this year is $2,420 for the full insurance. Students also have the option to select the Buff Care supplemental coverage program. It's not insurance, but it will provide a little bit more extra services at the health center and allows for things like their co-pays to be covered by the Buff Care supplemental coverage. If you have students or if you're interested, there's more information on the Health and Wellness Center website. Also, CU Book Access is a newer program where all undergraduate students have this flat rate applied to their tuition and fee account. It's $293.33, I think. But it covers all of their required course materials. And these days we're finding more and more that course materials are digital, but it also will cover any print materials. The student just needs to go and pick those up directly at the bookstore. Students are able to opt out of it. And then they also have the choice to opt into certain individual books if they choose to. So it's all done in Canvas under the course materials section. So they can opt out overall and then choose the different books that they're interested in. All right, so billing and due dates are pretty much consistent. Occasionally, like this year, there will be a little bit of a change, but generally speaking, fall tuition is going to be due on the 5th of September. Spring tuition is will be due on February 5th. Summer is a different beast, but the 5th of the month is when all of our monthly due dates are. So we generate bills the second Thursday of every month, and then the following 5th is when any additional charges that have come on are due. So costs. We've switched over to tuition being charged in tiers, and you can see that the base rate is very similar to what just the standard arts and sciences tuition rates used to be. And then we have environmental design and communication in tier 2, engineering and natural sciences in tier 3, and then the business school in tier 4. We offer a tuition guarantee, which encourages students to maintain a schedule so that they can hopefully graduate within 4 years. And also it gives them the ability to be able to plan for what their tuition costs are going to be. The tuition guarantee is based on the date that they first enrolled at the university. So they will remain in that cohort for the full time that they're at the university. And if they end up taking longer than 4 years to graduate, then they bump up into the next cohort level after that time. So the non-resident and international student tuition guarantee covers their tuition rate. Non-resident tuition is at a flat rate, which means that they can take either 1 class or 5 classes, and it's all going to still be the same rate of tuition. So it's really important for non-resident students to have that understanding. They will have different rates. The rates can change for the mandatory fees and such. So the guarantee is just the tuition only. For residents, it's a little bit different in that it covers the tuition and the mandatory fees. And one thing about the tuition structure for Colorado residents is that anything 12 credit hours and above is a flat rate. So students can go part-time and be charged on a per credit hour basis, but it's definitely more economical for them to take more than 12 credit hours. The tuition over 12 credit hours is offset by the College Opportunity Fund. So as tuition goes up, the College Opportunity Fund brings it down by that same rate. So COF is how the state helps to fund higher education in the state of Colorado. So they pay a stipend, and it pays a portion towards the in-state tuition for eligible Colorado undergraduate residents. And this year it is $116 per credit hour. That rate goes up. It's completely dependent upon up or down, completely dependent upon the Colorado legislature and how much they are choosing to fund the university on a year-to-year basis. It's a 2-step process. Students need to apply with College Assist. Most students do that when they're in high school. So most come already having applied. Then once they get here, they need to authorize the COF to be allocated to CU. So that's all part of the registration process. Pretty much when they register the first time, they give lifetime authorization. So they don't have to worry about registering for authorizing COF after that. Okay, so mandatory fees, they go to support infrastructure and then programs around campus. The primary fees go towards programs that are managed by the CU student government, and they allocate about $34 million a year to programs like Center for Student Involvement, the UMC Rec Center, and Cultural Events Board, such and such. Then infrastructure fees also cover the CU-SIS, and then wireless environments around campus, and then the health center fees are, there's a bunch of different programs that the health center offers. So they have health promotion. They also handle faculty staff assistance programs. So one thing to keep in mind is that continuing education is considered a separate campus. And that being the case, they also charge tuition and fees separately. So If a student is a non-resident student and they are taking 2 classes on main campus, but then decide that they want to take, 2 more online courses, they're going to end up paying their full flat rate tuition for main campus, and then they'll be charged for the online courses in addition to that. So that can be a key piece in advising students, or to keep in mind if they're wanting a different avenue for taking classes. Parents can get a little frustrated with that because they're convinced that students didn't understand that there was going to be an extra charge. So that's something to keep in mind. The COF does not apply towards continuing education courses, primarily because it's already taken into consideration in the rates that we're charging for the tuition and fees. Okay, payment options. Most people choose to make online payments using a bank account, so either a regular checking or savings account. We do accept credit or debit cards. However, there's a 2.85% service fee. We also offer payment plans. So people can choose to split up their fall payments into 5 or 4 monthly payments. And in the spring, we offer 4 or 3 payments. If a student ends up being past due, we will still offer payment plans in order to help them make payment for their tuition fees, with the goal of getting payments made prior to them registering for classes for the upcoming semester. We also take payments from college saving plans, so 529 plans, and international payments. There's an option for students to use Flywire, which is the company that we contract with to do international payments. And so students can use funds from different countries to cover their tuition fees in US dollars. We also do, we accept payments from third-party sponsors, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Okay, so unfortunately, sometimes it becomes a reality that students need to pay late. Since tuition is due on the 5th of September, typically, this year it was due on the 10th due to some accommodations that we were having due to challenges with the FAFSA and some delays with financial aid. So if tuition fees are not paid by midnight on the due date, then there is a late charge. And if it's over like $900, the late charge is $50. And then there is a 1% finance charge of any unpaid past due balance. Paying late also results in registration holds. So students are not able to register for upcoming semesters if they have a balance that is $1,500 or more. If a student can get their balance to below $1,500, we still will allow registration for upcoming semesters, but they still will incur latent finance charges until that balance is completely paid off. We do have a latent finance charge petition process. So we offer a one-time courtesy waiver for every student. And then if they have some sort of extenuating circumstance, they can petition and provide documentation for us to review to decide whether it would warrant an adjustment for latent finance charges. So I talked earlier about financial aid, students needing to grant permission for financial aid to pay towards all of the charges on the bill. So there are certain charges that are considered allowable charges, and that primarily is made up of tuition and mandatory fees. Any of the other charges on their account, like parking permits, the book access, health insurance, Those, the student needs to go in there and specifically say, yes, I do in fact want my financial aid to pay towards everything on my account. And then any residual amount after that would be refunded. If a student doesn't grant permission for it to pay other items, then there can still be an overpayment on the account. So it's possible that they get a refund, but then they'll still have a balance due because health insurance, for example, will remain on the bill. So anytime there's an overpayment on the account, most frequently it has to do with financial aid, where they take out more of a loan or get grants, scholarships, etc., that covers more than the amount that's billed. We generate a refund. We process refunds on a nightly basis for students who have set up direct deposit, and students who don't have their bank account information on file. We mail checks on a weekly basis, so those go out on Mondays. Other circumstances that can cause a refund, sometimes a student will pay their balance and then drop a class later. That might result in an overpayment. And then we do see sometimes where there's late add of like a scholarship or other financial aid. And then pretty much all students who graduate will get some sort of refund within their career here. We do refund the confirmation deposit at the end, assuming that they haven't got a leftover balance. And oftentimes students will get their housing deposit back from their freshman year as well. So the Bursar's office, also within the student billing team, we handle dealing with the graduate students, RATAs, and their tuition remission. So we have a staff member that is dedicated towards ensuring that the credits are applied to accounts correctly. So when staff members or the service center enters in the employees or the grad students' information and their percentages, then that automatically calculates and subtracts off of their tuition and fee account. And if you're more interested in that, we have information on our website with how staff members can view their students' RATA waivers, etc. And pretty much if you have students working for you, you have a good idea of this process as it is. There are circumstances also where students will have a need to withdraw from the university. And if they do not withdraw by what we call the A rebate period, which essentially is 10 days prior to the first day of class, the A rebate period, they get 100% refund, and they are not charged the withdrawal processing fee. Then we move into the B rebate period. So this year, the deadline was September 11th. They still get 100% refund of their tuition, but there is a $200 withdrawal processing fee charged. And then after that, students will either get a 60% refund, a 40% refund, or no refund at all after October 9th. So students who have to withdraw after September 11th, if there is an extenuating circumstance leading to the withdrawal, we have a petition process. So there's more information online, and students can complete the appeal process as long as they have sufficient documentation that would substantiate either a university error happening, medical condition, family emergency, financial issues, or if we can verify non-attendance. Sometimes what will happen is a student will become enrolled in classes like for prerequisites, what have you, and someone at the university actually enrolls them in courses, but the student doesn't actually end up attending. So we will process tuition fee refunds based on that. So if students are in need of filing an appeal, we have staff members, a specific staff member dedicated to helping students with this process. We also offer, our office manages the tuition assistance benefit for the university. So short is TAB. There are certain benefits that, so employees who are benefits eligible are also able to use either credit hours to have waived to be able to take classes, or they can transfer their benefit to their dependent. Actually, I think they can do both now, right? Yeah. So you can either take classes yourself, and or your dependents who are coming here can get a discount of 40%. So the process is that students need to be enrolled, so they have to have applied and been accepted. You can take classes as a non-degree student, but you still have to go through the application process, although everyone is admitted, but you still have to actually be admitted. Then you have to term activate if you're a non-degree student, register for classes. And then even though you're getting the tuition waived, there still are some mandatory fees that are going to be charged. So it's roughly like $100 or so that you end up paying for classes on a semester basis. And of course, any books, that sort of thing that you would need also are not covered. Dependents, as long as the application is completed through the My CU info, then the 40% gets applied directly to the student account. So the bursar's office is more than just student billing. And so we have a whole team dedicated to student financial services, and one of their primary functions is to do the tuition calculation. This is a list of this year's different choices for tuition fee rate sheets that can be looked at. So the number of combinations of the rates that are charged is extremely large. And then with each of the different populations of students, so there's also the different majors that they're in and whether they're which tier they're on. And we also still have students who are being charged by the college rather than in tiers. So we still maintain those tuition and fee tables. And then we also have graduate students, and they are charged by the college. And we also have now professional master's programs, and those rates are a whole nother set of rates based on different parameters. We also are responsible for special programs and billing for the classes that students take through Coursera. Okay, so third-party sponsorships. We have students who are essentially sponsored by another entity. So very frequently they're foreign governments, or we have some 529 plans are considered a third-party sponsorship. Lots of military students here that have their tuition and fees covered by the military. Foreign exchange students. Another big one are students who are attending on the GI Bill, either themselves or for their dependents. So we have a team of staff that will verify the students' eligibility with a guarantee of payment from the third-party sponsor, and then we will submit the bill directly to the sponsor for the sponsor to pay the university. So I think there's like, I don't remember the numbers, but it's like over 1,000 students on a semesterly basis where we're billing and receiving payments in for them. If a student has a past due balance and they end up becoming no longer enrolled, so if their past due balance is preventing them from registering in an upcoming semester, students will essentially get transferred back into our student debt management team for the collection process to begin. They will first start out trying to set up payment plans in-house with students. And then if for some reason we're not able to successfully collect in that way, then we will submit students to outside collection agencies if it gets to that point. Students are given pretty much ample notification to work with somebody in the student debt management team, and we highly recommend, if you have anybody in a circumstance where they have a past due balance, to certainly get in contact with our office so that we can help them out as much as possible. We also have the Office of Cash Management. They essentially act also as the bank, essentially, for the university. So pretty much they're responsible for depositing university funds and handling deposits from all of the different colleges and departments on campus, and also dealing with petty cash. They do wire transfers, and of course, collection and management of the tuition and fee accounts. So I think that we bill every semester about, I'm going to say like $560 million in tuition and fees. So roughly 1.2 billion or so tuition and fees that are collected for fall and spring. So they manage all of that. Then we also manage all of the accounting for the tuition and fees that come in. So this essentially is the process for just the last day of year end. So we have a payment processor called Nelnet, who they process our online payments. And so all payments and all tuition and fee charges have to be transferred and fed into PeopleSoft on a regular basis. And then, of course, at year end, all of that has to be balanced and allocated for. So we have a team that handles the overall accounting for the office, university. So that's it in a nutshell. Do people have questions?